All right, good morning. It's August 5th, 2020, and this is show number 3 of the American Gumption morning show being broadcast here on Spirituality Gone Wild and various other places, our Facebook channels and YouTube and lots of other networks, which I'm still learning about. So it's exciting. Been a great week. It's got shows number 1 and 2 in the can, and overall they went well. Yesterday was an exciting ride because we had a hurricane, or the remnants of a hurricane, right on top of where I was broadcasting from, and the actual show turned out okay as far as a broadcast goes, but from my end it was real staticky and hiccuping, and I didn't know whether we were broadcasting or whether it was being intermittent. But as I looked over the show tape, and the final version was actually not so bad. So that was something I learned in these going live things. When the internet is a little funny, we'll just have to bear with it. But it's a beautiful sunny day here in eastern Pennsylvania, and the sky's blue. All the hurricanes long gone, and had about 8 inches of rain where I was. So it was quite the neighbors in the neighborhood who've been here 20 years said the worst storm they've ever seen. And there's a little creek, and it overflowed its banks, and so it was quite the adventure. And tornadoes, and not far from where we were, cars upended. So it was an exciting day here in Pennsylvania. All right, let's get right into today's show. We have 2 special guests, Debbie Garcia and Karen Palmer, and they are the co-founders of Spirituality Gone Wild, and they are going to be right here with us live today. So this is really exciting. I'm going to be able to speak with both of them, and I've got questions because heck, 4 weeks and 1 day ago, I didn't even know who these people were, and then we met 4 weeks ago. Debbie and I met, and we decided that. I thought she was going to invite me to be a guest on her show, and she said, "No, you're going to just do your own show." And so I said, "Well, okay." Kind of like Forrest, I said, "Okay, if that's what I have to do, that's what I'll do." So here we are doing it. So anyway, they're going to come back, and I have a lot of questions for them about how did it all start for them? How did it get started? And then we'll talk a little bit about those early years of what they did and how it started out. Now this Saturday, August 8th, 8/8 is the 3rd anniversary. So they are no longer a little startup. They are marching along and collecting bigger audiences and more hosts. And I'm just lucky and honored to be the newest member of the team. So doing our morning show here. All right. So they'll be coming up in probably about 20 minutes or so, and we're going to talk a lot more about the anniversary show. I'll just tease it and say that if you are a spiritual entrepreneur, if you are somebody who likes this kind of message, if you like taking responsibility for your life and what happens in your life and doing things that will give you more joy and success and happiness and love, then you might want to consider being part of it. If you just are a casual observer of it, or if you're a beginning student of it, you can join for free on Saturday and watch it. But if you're somebody who has dug in a little bit deeper, you definitely want to get a ticket and you want to be part of Saturday's show. So we'll explain all about how to do that. So, all right, let's transition into my little first prepared thoughts and monologue today. Yesterday we went over some of the life chapters of Forrest Gump, and we ended up going a little bit deeper into that concept. Back to life lessons. The first lesson, the feather. There we go. Yeah, the feather that comes into the life. That's lesson number 1 from the movie Forrest Gump. The feather lands at the foot. That represents the opportunities in your life. The second lesson is the chocolate box, and the chocolate box is life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, I kind of turn that on its head. Life's like a box of chocolates. You get to choose whatever chocolate you want, and you get to choose whatever life you want. And that's what here at Spirituality Gone Wild, that's what we like to talk about and teach is and promote is choosing a life that you want, choosing a life that you love, and and making things happen for you the way you want to, because we all have the power to do that. We all have the ability. We just have to focus on it. Third life lesson from the movie is that, hey, it's just a journey. It's just a journey, and it's just a bunch of life chapters, and it just one thing goes after another. And what Forrest Gump was brilliant at doing was living his life in the moment. So when he was a little boy, he wasn't worried about what he was going to do later in his life. He just concentrated on being a student and learning how to make friends. And then when he was in college and playing football, he didn't worry about what was going to happen after college, and he didn't worry about what had happened up until he got to college. He just focused right on it. He was present. He was Eckhart Tolle talks about presence. Forrest Gump was the Eckhart Tolle of the time. He was present in every moment where he was. And when he was in the Army, he was a foot soldier initially, and he focused on doing exactly what he was told. The drill sergeant asked him, "What's your sole purpose in this Army?" And it said, "To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant." So he was just a guy who was very good at being in the moment and being present. And of course, ping pong, when he became a ping pong player, think about the concentration that he had to just focus on that. And again, he wasn't worried about everything that happened previous in his life, and he wasn't worried about everything that was going to happen next in his life. He was in the moment, and that's what we all want to learn how to do more of. And let's see, so he just went through his whole life. That's what we talked about yesterday. Now, what I want to do today is I want to go a little deeper into a chapter. So imagine that you have all these life chapters in your life. You know, you're a child, and then you go to college, and then you have your first job, and then you have another job. And well, let's just look at Forrest Gump's shrimp boat chapter. And here's the funny thing. Every chapter can be its own whole universe. So within a chapter, there's all kinds of sub-chapters. And so I'm going to show you just some of the sub-chapters of, whoops, not that one. That's mine. Where's Forrest? Where's Forrest Gump's? Here it is. All right, so this is the chapter of Forrest Gump's shrimp boat days. The very first thing he did was he decided that he was going to become a shrimp boat captain. Every new thing that happens in our life starts with a decision. We have to decide. I don't know about you, but it takes me a while sometimes to decide. You think about it and you think about it and you plan and you write stuff down and then finally one day you actually say it out loud. You speak it to somebody, and boy, it becomes kind of real once that happens. Once you say it out loud, it starts to become real. But it still isn't really real. It's kind of real in your own mind. And it's being planted, and it's nurturing, and the universe is conspiring to make it all happen. But you ultimately have to make a choice and decide. And so in Forrest Gump's decision, he decided to be a shrimp boat captain. And he went and he put his money where his mouth was, and he bought a boat. And so it became real the day he bought that boat. And then we remember his first week, he's out at sea. He's got the brand new ropes and gas, and he thinks it's going to be easy. He just goes out in the Gulf of Mexico, and he starts trying to be a shrimp boat captain, and he ends up with nothing, empty nets. And that goes on for weeks at a time, and he's frustrated, and it's not working the way it's supposed to work. And I've had a lot of things in my life where I started something and boom, it was an instant success, and it was easy. Like when I became Forrest Gump for Bubba Gump Shrimp, I just went down there and they hired me, and my news picture was on the newspaper the next day, and and there was crowds and crowds of people around, and I had to learn just how to do it, but it happened, and you focus on it. And then I had other things that I went and did where it was more like Forrest Gump's first week, where it didn't work out so well. It was frustration and anger, or not anger, but second guessing. Did I make the right decision? Should I do this? And but Forrest didn't give up. He just kept going along. And then remember the joy when Lieutenant Dan showed up at the dock, and Forrest was so excited he jumped off the boat and swam into the shore. And he gets up and he's like, "What are you doing here, Lieutenant Dan?" And they became partners in the shrimp boat business. And so then it became trial and error. Lieutenant Dan was able to help him focus, and they came up with a plan, but it was trial and error. And they said, "Let's go over there and shrimp. Let's put the nets down here." And so they tried things, and still they didn't have success. But they kept working. They kept plugging away, kept working at it, working. And then finally the hurricane came, and they almost lost the boat. But the funny thing about the hurricane, here they are out at sea. They're out in the Gulf. The hurricane hits. Not like today. We knew when hurricanes were coming. I knew the hurricane was coming yesterday, and the show went on, and we survived. But they didn't even know the hurricane was coming. They didn't have GPS. They didn't have weather maps or weather alerts. So they're out there, and you would think that's going to be a disaster. Well, it turned out to be a lucky break for them, because all the boats that were in at shore, safe at shore, ended up getting all washed and smashed up and turned over, and so now Forrest and Lieutenant Dan's boat's the only one out there, and so then they had success, and so there's the chapter. I mean, and there's a whole lot more. You could take any one of those. You could take the frustration and explode that into all types of different chapters where first this was frustrating, and then that was and so every life journey has a lot of chapters in it, and then every chapter has its own sub-chapters. And I don't encourage you to analyze your entire life and look back on it unless you want to write a book. But the reality is that it's sometimes helpful to look back on it, because all these little moments are teaching moments, and we learn and we grow from them. So let's see here. Now, I ended up, just to kind of make this a little bit personal, I decided to move to Montana a long time ago. And back in 2003, 4, I bought some properties. And then in 2006, I decided to move there. So I moved to the small town of Hamilton, lived in town for 3 years. Simultaneously, I started my speaking business, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And so I had a bunch of tools, and I had done construction, and I remodeled a duplex. But I also had this interest in doing personal transformation work. 2009 became the year I just committed and dedicated myself to that. I started writing, ended up writing 500 plus blog posts those first couple of years. And then, I wasn't having as much initial immediate success. So I ended up moving to the farmhouse property and got rid of the house in town. I had some other properties that I started to get rid of and sell off. I had too many chapters to fit on one page. So I had to go ahead and expanded it to 2 pages. And so here I was selling the properties. I went to Salt Lake City 25 times over the next couple of years. I became part of the National Speakers Association, and there was a chapter in Salt Lake City, the NSA Mountain West chapter, and I got involved with it. And I was a student. I was learning everything I could about the speaking business, and so I ended up having to learn how to speak in front of a crowd. I had sat on the bench in front of Bubba Gump restaurants, talked to 1 million people over a 15-year period, and I knew how to talk to people like one-on-one behind the mask of a character, but I didn't know how to stand up in front of a room full of 50 people or 500 people and deliver some type of cohesive message. I had to learn that. And I know how to tell jokes and entertain, but I realized that I didn't have a message. And so over those years that I was learning that, writing, I was developing that message and figuring it all out. Here's the funny thing. The minute I got my message down, and that took let's just say 4 years or thereabouts, I went, you know what? I don't even want to be a speaker. I don't like just talking to people from the stage. I want to interact with people, and I loved sitting on the bench talking to folks. And so I said, I'm going to be the conference host. And so for the next 3 or 4 years, I never did a speaking gig where they didn't hire me to stay the whole weekend, and I would just interact with people the whole time and MC different events and the mixers at night I would go to. And so just had a lot more fun that way. And I'd do the keynote presentation, but conference hosting became my thing. And then ultimately I realized that I needed to be an ambassador for an organization. I'm kind of going back to my roots. I wanted to be kind of what I did for Bubba Gump, and then I was representing them and an ambassador, but I wanted to find some other companies. And so, and I realized that I couldn't do that from where I was in Montana. So the last couple of years I started going, I got to downsize. I need mobility. I need to be able to move around. And so I went through this period of downsizing and shedding. I have a friend, Kathy Dempsey, who does this shedding, a lizard, and the lizard sheds its skin. And that's literally what I was doing. I was shedding who I had been up until that point so that I could become someone new. And then 1 year ago, I started the final push to get out of Montana and left on October 6th. So that's the Montana chapter. And yet every one of those, the ambassador thing took a couple of years, and the shedding part took, the last 2 or 3 years, and conference hosting took a couple of years. And, so each chapter has sub-chapters, and then each sub-chapter, you could break the whole thing out again if you wanted to. So anyway, let's see, I'm still learning my way around here. That's the idea today. I just wanted to share that life isn't static. It's just this constant journey that we go through. And the movie is just the story of a man's life. It's just a story of Forrest Gump's life. He was a boy. He was in high school. He joined the football team in college. He had great moments. And so what do we learn from it? Be present, be enjoying the journey. I'm learning to enjoy the journey. I look at my own, when I went to Montana, I was very much future focused. And I thought, when this happens, then I'll be happy. When I get there and I achieve this, then I'll be happy. And what happened was I wasn't able to achieve the specific things that I had imagined I wanted to achieve because, things changed, circumstances changed. And so here I wasn't necessarily enjoying the moment. I was looking forward to something in the future to make me happy. And what was going on was I was not necessarily enjoying the moment, and I wasn't ever getting to the point where I could, be happy. So when I did the work, the 2009, the year of transformation, it really was learning about how to be present and how to take that voice in your head that talks to you constantly and tame it and learn to quiet it down so that I could, so that I could be present with it. And so the next couple of years was really learning about how to be present in the moment. And, fortunately, if you try something long enough and work hard enough at it, you can figure it out. So, and here we are. Friend of mine yesterday, talked to her, and, she just had her 60th birthday. And if you're familiar with Saturn's second return, when we are born, Saturn is somewhere out in the sky, and it doesn't circle around to be at the same place as our birthplace for 29 and a half years or thereabouts, 29 and a half to 30, depending on the cycle. Each year it's a little different. And so then the second return happens when we're like 59 or 60. And so I had my second return a couple of years ago, and that was all about why I was like, I got to get out of Montana. I got to go start the next chapter of my life, the next phase. And one of the things that they say about the second return is that you are then going to go ahead and fulfill the work that you're put on Earth in this time and space to fulfill. So your first 30 years is sort of that foundation of who you are and just figuring it out. And then that second 30-year period is where you get busy with life. You have kids, you have careers, you learn skills, you try things. And then you end up getting to this third chapter, which is, let's say, roughly from 60 on. And then you go, you know what? There's not enough time left for me to waste time doing things that other people want me to do, or just opportunities that come where you go, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do that because it's an opportunity. That was what I did in the early stages of my life. That's what Forrest Gump did in the first half of his part of his life, and from the movie, where you just took whatever opportunity showed up and you ran with it. And then you get a little more selective. You start to define it. Well, now once you have passed Saturn's second return, you're like, you know what? I need to just focus on what fulfills my heart, my soul, makes me happy, makes me joyous, and there's not enough time left to go ahead and do things that are just going to help you survive or get along. So that's where I feel like I'm at. So this has all been the chapters, journeys, getting to where we are. Now, let's shift gears. Let's see if our guests are getting ready in the green room. I can see them. There looks like they're sipping tea and herbal tea in the green room, because we have a fancy green room. It's just right behind this room here. And they're over there getting ready. And hopefully the people who came in and served the tea were nice to them and polite. It's a very fancy place here. And so anyway, we'll introduce our guest. And so anyway, gosh, comments. Let's just check there. I'm learning to work this board. Here we have Debbie Garcia is giving us a look at this beautiful thing. She says, I'm learning. Look at, I don't know what. Oh my gosh. People are just welcoming me. I got to add one at least just to show you guys what it is. All right. So one of our fellow hosts, Safe Bucksy, says, hey, my brother, all the way over from England. Isn't that nice? And what does spirituality gone wild have to say? Please share this out. Yes, everybody share this out. We're having a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you so much. All right. This is the walking and chewing gum and skipping and jumping part. So I'm pretty good at just sitting here rambling, but then if I have to pay attention and keep the rambling going, there we go. All right, let's here's how we're going to do this. We're going to bring on the two guests, and because I don't have the prepared introduction for either of them, I'm going to let Debbie introduce Karen, and then I'm going to ask Karen to introduce Debbie, and then we're going to play the first time guest to the morning show theme, which we debuted yesterday. So we'll bring our guest in, we'll fill up the room here, and there'll be the introduction, and then there'll be the movie theme or the welcoming theme. How does that sound? Let's see if we can do this. All right, there they are. Hello, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
How do I, I'm the large picture here. How do I make, Debbie, how do I make one of you become the large picture?
Well, you can't really, but you could just you want to highlight us, or you want to, you want to highlight. Okay. So look down below and you'll see the spotlight up in the upper left of our little pictures in the green room. You can see if you hover over, there's a little square up in the lower upper. There he goes, and I'm highlighted, and it is 7:26 in the morning in Southern California. Hello, and I can still hear you guys, by the way.
And I made you get up early to do the morning show, didn't I, Debbie?
Yes, you did, which is perfectly, beautifully, wonderful with me. Getting my ass out of bed early is not a bad thing. So you want me to introduce Karen?
Yeah. Why don't you introduce Karen, and let's see if we'll highlight Karen while you introduce her. How's that? Karen,
sure.
You just quiet for a second.
So you guys see this magnificent lady sitting right there? Her name is Karen Palmer. I met Karen Palmer about almost 5 years ago, through a gentleman that we both knew and loved. His name was Bob Miller. And everything that Bob talked about was about gratitude. In fact, the reason Karen and I met was because Bob had her on his Practice Gratitude Success show. Karen is the embodiment of all things good in this life. If you want to learn how to practice kindness, I suggest you watch Karen. Karen does this for real. I've met her. I know what Karen does. As a matter of fact, she's got the entire town of Solvang and Santa Barbara following her footsteps. It's crazy great. Karen is the one person you can count on if your day is feeling sad. She is an extraordinary performer as well. This woman is like a mix between Weird Al Yankovic, and this is a beautiful compliment, by the way, and Mr. Rogers, because she embodies all of those things that are magical and magnificent and marvelous, because she is Karen Palmer. She is Miss Kindness. So welcome. I love you, Karen, by the way.
I love you too, Debbie, so much.
All right, so now let's have Debbie be quiet just for a minute, and we're going to let Karen say some nice words about Debbie.
Well, what an honor to introduce Debbie Garcia. Miss Gratitude herself has been such an incredible visionary of spirituality gone wild. She came to me with the idea of spirituality gone wild and wanted to create a place where everyone belonged, a place where everyone felt welcomed, and a place where everyone could really learn from each other and see each other's greatness and wisdom. And that's what we've been able to create together. And Debbie is all about helping people to really see their own magnificence and awaken to their truth. And I think that she's an incredible, compassionate communicator, one of the best communicators I've ever seen, really. And when she, is interviewing, the person is really spotlighted and given an opportunity to really shine. And when she's being interviewed, she also helps the person who's interviewing them shine. And so Spirituality Gone Wild is a vision that she had that we together have been able to love into this reality. It's a dream that I think everyone on the planet is looking for. A place where we can raise the levels of compassion, gratitude, joy, love, kindness, and peace on earth. And a place where everyone gets to be heard and seen and valued. And I think that Debbie is the epitome of walking embodiment of gratitude. And she really empowers people to feel into their own blessings so that they can really, really change their own lives. And it's an honor and a true privilege to be on your show. And you know what I love? I love to just compare her to Forrest Gump because I know, because I just love what he was talking about, a box of chocolates. I would see that Debbie has had her share of boxes of chocolates.
I put the ones I don't like back.
She puts the ones she don't like back. And she's very much like Forrest Gump, where she really savors the ones she loves. And she always shares her chocolates. And that's what I think is so special about Debbie and also about Forrest Gump. I love how you brought him in as an enlightened being, like a modern day he is. Eckhart Tolle is very much like Forrest Gump. And, Forrest Gump was the first enlightened movie, I think, that I really started seeing that in that way. So thank you so much, Steve, for bringing that awareness into this wonderful morning show. I love what you're doing with this show. I'm so excited about what's going to come from it.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. I'm just grateful that I met both of you and that you gave me the opportunity to go ahead and do this. I talked to Debbie the other night about this, and I had been practicing or preparing for this for a long time. So it wasn't like it was like I had 4 weeks or 2 weeks to get ready for it. I was ready to go, but I just didn't have the platform. I didn't even know what the platform was. So here we are. So the way we do this on the morning show, those were great introductions by both of you. Thank you so much. And what we do here on the morning show is we welcome our guest, but with a special song. Anytime a first-time guest comes on, we could just clap and applaud, but instead we play this this little welcoming song. All right.
Okay, that was
Welcome, ladies.
Lord help me. Oh my God.
Aye,
Steve.
aye.
Boom. That was yeah, buddy. Oh my God. Like we really we need to do like that little dance in the USO. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I love that.
Seriously. I gotta tell you, okay, so listen, Steve, about the Forrest Gump thing, about well, I'm spotlight again. About I don't know, Karen, what was it? Like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, Karen, hey, did you know what Forrest said when remember when Captain Dan and Forrest were on the boat and the storm came? Remember that, Steve?
Yep.
Okay, so Captain Dan's climbing to the top of the boat and he's like cussing God out and just like, F you, God, is this all you God's the best you can do?
It's time for a showdown. You and
Right.
me, right
You
here,
right now. And Forrest is just like, he's cool, right? Looking at Captain Dan. Not sure what he's doing, but Captain Dan says, okay, Forrest, so where's your God now? And what happens?
He showed up.
He showed up.
Yeah.
And he showed up, and so did Bubba Gump Shrimp. Yay! But I used to say that we were just shrimp boating. Karen and I and Spirituality Gone Wild was a shrimp boat. We were just shrimp boating, and that's all we were doing. How many times did I say that, Karen? We're just shrimp boating. Because and about the time that you question, where is source God, or where is he now? Bam, it shows up. So it's another, that's like the biggest life lesson I got out of Forrest Gump. How many times, by the way, I know this is your show, Steve, but I'm just curious because like I'm dying to know, how many times have you watched Forrest Gump?
Well, when I first started, I ended up watching it for about 22 days straight, where I watched the entire movie, and I was practicing because I would watch it in front of the mirror, like, doing little mannerisms. But then after that, over the years, hundreds of times in bits and pieces. So
me too. I didn't.
Yeah, writing about it the last several years. So,
I want to watch it again now because
I know, right?
We should actually do a Saturday matinee of it.
Oh,
like we used to do. Debbie, remember what we and watch a Saturday matinee, and we do a little commentary of it. That'd be so fun to do that with you, Steve.
Oh my God, that would be fun.
Well, here's what I want to know first of all, and I'll throw it out in either both of you can take it, or one of you. Tell me about the very beginning days of Spirituality Gone Wild. It sounds to me like Debbie maybe had the initial idea and brought Karen to figure out how to make it all work, but I don't know that story. So who wants to go first?
Well, I can tell you where it began. It began in a conversation I was having with Bob Miller. And Bob and I were talking. And we were talking about angels and aliens and woo, woo, woo to the wow, wow, which Karen and I created later. But we were talking, and I'm like, Lord, Bob, I swear to you, it's like spirituality's gone wild. And he's like, what'd you say? And I'm like, oh, what did I say? And it just kind of, spirituality gone wild sort of just sounded great. And I just saw this place where anybody and everybody could share their gifts and what they're doing in this world and just be themselves and be real and authentic and however that looked, and there would be no judgment, and spirituality gone wild was it. So I started the page. Well, actually, no, Bob passed away. Wayne then passed away, the father of my children, and his sister a week later. I went through this tremendous area of grief and totally didn't do anything for a year. And then after that year, because grief showed me the gratitude and grief, which is really tough to find when you're going through it. But what I finally discovered was that life is too short. And just like you were talking about with Eckhart Tolle and with Forrest Gump, staying present in the now meant to take the action. So, I saw these visions for what Spirituality Gone Wild could be, along with all the other networks out there. And I thought, oh, and this is actually before a lot of the other networks even started. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I'd never done live streaming before. I had never been on video before. In fact, I was a big, I don't want to be on video person. So this was a big, huge thing for me to even get onto video. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to actually go on video. So I just decided to start it. And then Karen, who was already doing magnificent work out there, she's been doing this for a long time. We were doing Blog Talk Radios together. She was doing, she had a Periscope going at that time and all this other stuff. And so I felt pulled in my heart. Spirit was saying, yeah, Karen's definitely, Karen is it. And it's because of Bob that we met. So it's just like the whole thing sort of made sense.
So, Karen, I'm going to ask you to, oh, look at that. Oh, now I got a whole nother layout. There you go. Karen,
this is great.
boy,
I
didn't
love
know
this.
about that layout.
Isn't it fun? It's like I said, it's just learning curves.
Box of chocolates.
Yeah, it's like a box of chocolates.
Yep.
So, Karen, when Debbie approached you about the idea, I mean, what was your initial thoughts? How did you react to all of this?
Well, it's like, I knew that we had been called to be together for a reason. I knew there was a divine intervention. I knew there was a divine, connection between the two of us. Even when Bob just introduced us for the first time, and when Bob left his physical body, Debbie and I are both mediums. We both have connection with the people who have crossed the veil. And Bob was the one who reached out through spirit to me and said, check out what Debbie's doing. And I think that you two will really be able to amplify each other's goodness. And so when Debbie called me, I was ready for that call. I was ready because I trust spirit, and I do believe that we are guided. I don't question it anymore. I don't try to explain it, and I don't try to change anybody else's opinion about it. But I live with the truth in my heart. And I trust that when I am being guided with the truth from my heart, I just take big steps. I jump in with both feet. I'm off the dive board girl. I'm not a walk in and wade your feet. I'm not a walker and wader. I'm a jump in and dive under and go swim with swim under and enjoy the ride kind of person. So when she reached out to me, I had already been creating communities, and this was just when Facebook Live was just getting started, like when we started Spirituality Gone Wild, and we're starting to get more and more traction, and people were starting to come in, and we were seeing more and more people coming together and creating this beautiful global family. And just realizing, Debbie and I both were realizing, wow, people really want this. People really are just starving for this. And that's how it just kind of grew from there.
So what was that first year like? Was it just the two of you? Was it, tell me about the very first year. I mean, so you started to get traction. When did you feel like you were tipping in terms of something was really happening?
I'd have to say it was about the second year that we started getting real traction. What would you say, Debbie?
Yeah, I would say it was the second. I would say it was the second year. The first year was a lot of fun. We started off with some great people on the platform, and then they'd fall off, or and then some new people would show up to be hosts. But pretty much the only consistency has been Karen and I, and then David Strickle. David Strickle. So I would say, yeah, after the second year too, it really started picking up. And this last year has just been a really interesting evolution, actually, because we had a couple of people that were hosts for a good long while and decided to go off on their own because, I guess they don't believe in collaboration. So I'm sorry, I'll just be real. The only way, there's something I know, and after 3 years of this, is that, and Karen knows this because both of us agree, and the Sign Network was born because of this. The only way in this new paradigm, in this new world, in this new energy to build business and to build connection is through collaboration. Collaboration doesn't mean that, oh, will you share this for me and then yeah, I'll share it for you. But unless you ask back, they don't know that you also need that. But you have to collaborate. You have to actively care what other people are doing. That doesn't mean that you give all your time to one place or another. It means that you share things out when you see that they're great. You build each other up. Now, this is super important. When you're collaborating, one of the biggest things is to have compassion for what other people are doing. I don't try to change how they do it. I simply embrace them and want to lift them up for what they're doing. Collaboration is your key to everything, and it is about connection, how that you communicate. And Karen actually has some 6 C's that she teaches along, and we have it posted on the website, spiritualitygonewild.com. But that's something she's going to be teaching behind the scenes at our speed networking event that's on 8/8. And you guys will talk more about that in a minute. But Spirituality Gone Wild is never, I don't really decide who's going to be a host. Karen doesn't, we don't decide who's going to be coming on to be a host. Spirit drops people in our lap. And that's just how it is every single time. And I know who should be and who shouldn't be. Now, I can invite people to be a guest or be a host, but that doesn't mean that they're going to stick with it. So I can't always guarantee that they're going to stick around. Everything's alignment. And so when people come and go, I know that that's for the growth of the actual platform itself. We share everybody's stuff. We're connected with some really huge networks. Karen and I are both on Women Rising now on Unify. That's got a couple million people. It is really about the collaboration though, because even with that, it's all collaboration. Every ounce of this.
One of the interesting parts of my spiritual evolution and journey the last 10 years is that I had to give up the idea that I was independent and I was a solo operator. And I loved that. I had lived my entire life like that, but I was constantly, constantly pushing a rock up the hill by living my life that way. And so I had, in the last 5 to 10 years, like slowly, because I'm a slow learner, a little slow in some areas, realized that I couldn't just do everything on my own. So I knew I needed partners. And so I became like very conscious in the last year that the only way this will work for me is to find partners. And boom, here you go, you show up. So Karen, I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about what Debbie had said. So why don't you jump in for a minute?
Well, sure. Yeah, the 6 C's that Debbie's talking about are how to build an engaged audience, an engaged audience and community. And really, that's the secret sauce behind Spirituality Gone Wild, is that we have been able to create the global family that we've created. People who are being part of Spirituality Gone Wild are excited to share our broadcasts, are excited to, be a guest or be a host. So the first C is collaboration. Collaboration is really key to everything. Just like Debbie said, it's all about really seeing that we're all in this together. It's just an illusion. It's just an illusion that we're not all in this together. We're all in this together. We're all having this human experience. And there's ways that we can really amplify each other's work. And that's what collaboration is. The second C is clarity, because your message needs to be clear and easily digestible for people to be able to listen, and people want to feel seen and heard and validated. And that's what our community is all about. Connection is number 3. It's really so important. The audience needs to feel a connection, like I'm talking directly to you. So when somebody's watching me right now, I'm hoping that they're feeling me in their heart. I'm hoping that they're feeling how much I really am present with them, how grateful I am for them to be taking the time out of their day to be listening. That's about connection. If I was looking at papers and not really present and, trying to get through this and, oh God, I got so much other stuff I need to be doing, that's not connection. So that's a big C. That's a really big important. And the fourth one is consistency. We need to be consistent in the way that we show up. And just show up and smile and really trust what needs to be said will be expressed through you. So really consistency is about just really showing up and caring about the people who are showing up with you. Communication, just like Debbie said, compassionate communication, where people feel so uplifted and inspired by the time that they leave your show and they're just starting their day going, wow, this is Wow Wednesday. I'm going to look for all the wonders. I'm going to remember all those things that Steve talked about. I'm going to think about how I can see the world as a box of chocolates. How can I see my life more enlightened with a more Forrest Gump, spin on my life, and see how my chapters have been. What are my chapters of my life? And the sixth one is courage. We really need to have the courage to be our true self, to be our authentic self, and trust that it's not about how many people like you or don't like you. It's about what you feel you are expressing and how honest you are in your own authenticity, because that's what's attractive in the world. It's really what's attractive in the world. If you pay attention to frequency, like Debbie was saying, alignment has to do with frequency, and frequency has to do with being your true self. And, we have an opportunity here on the planet right now to really, really raise each other up with frequency. One person, through the book of Dr. David Hawkins, one person who's vibrating with love in their heart, with peace on their mind and kindness in their actions, counterbalances 750,000 people who are in the low vibration of fear and shame and blame and bigotry. These energies are not connected to our source, to the well-being of the planet. So when we are connected to our well-being and we are expressing our well-being out into the world, we're the most powerful force on the planet. So using social media, using technology, combining all of these tools with the 6 C's is a huge opportunity. And Debbie and I really fine-tuned all of our own roadmap so that we took you on a really great ride so that you aren't landing in potholes. You're going to just cruise right over those potholes that we went through. And that's what it's all about. Like you do the hokey pokey and you turn yourself around. That's what it's all about, right? Because if we just let ourselves have the journey, like you said, I hope that people will really take in all that they've heard today. And today, really look for the wonders. Today, count yourself blessed and think about, what is my chapter right now? What chapter am I writing? This is, you're the movie, you're the star, you're the Forrest Gump of your life.
Yeah. I want to just show the the screen one more time of the Shrimp Boat chapter and just compare it to Spirituality Gone Wild. And you decided a couple of years ago, and then you had that first week in the first year, and I'm guessing there was some frustration that was involved in terms of things didn't quite work, and some people who joined left, but then something happened. Instead of Lieutenant Dan arriving, it sounded like David arrived, and Josie, and you ended up with some stability, and you went through some more trial and error, and hopefully there's no hurricanes in the future, but there is something successful coming up this particular weekend, and we should kind of spend the last couple of minutes just talking about what is going to be in store for people who come to the 3rd anniversary party, which is on Saturday. So I'm going to let Debbie have the spotlight first.
Yay! Okay, so it is Spirituality Gone Wild's 3rd anniversary. We've been talking about that this whole hour, and thank you, Steve, so much for putting such a great spotlight on our fun network. What Karen just talked about, the 6 C's as part of it, and then there's a whole bunch of other great things that we know how to do that you need to know how to do, so that if you've ever thought of being a spiritual entrepreneur, you are a spiritual entrepreneur, or you just want to come hang out with us because we're fun like that, join right now in the link. I've pinned it to the comments, because you can come backstage with us and go into our speed networking experience. While on the main stage, we've got great performances. All of the Women Rising will be there, from Unify, all of Spirituality Gone Wild's host, with some other special guests as well. We have musical entertainment. Of course, True Seeker is coming live. You guys, I couldn't do this without Derek. So if you choose the link that I put in there right now, use the ticket link Unify to get 50% off. So it's only $11. Yeah, you're going to come hang out with us for 5 hours for $11, because we're crazy like that. We're Spirituality Gone Wild. What do you know? So seriously though, come and chill with us. Use the Unify link. Okay, you can watch for free, but on right here, Spirituality Gone Wild, you can watch for free as well on Unify, but you're not going to be able to be back in the breakout rooms, which is where the fun is at. It starts, by the way, at 10 o'clock in the morning, straight on Unify, with Summer Raymer dancing and grooving right into the main event at 12. And then afterwards at 6 o'clock, the conversation will be having our after party, where all of the hosts will be present to answer your questions and chill with you and just have some fun. The Plow Zone radio show will be hosting the music at that. And the MC is, of course, our Mr. Prince Fleet Easton, he's a star out in Hollywood and Palm Springs, and he's done all of my events with me. He's freaking incredible. Oh my God, I love Fleety. So love Fleety. I love you.
He's the Prince of Palm Springs.
Karen, what can you say about this coming event on Saturday?
Oh my gosh, Debbie and I play a game called Wouldn't It Be Great If? And we bounce ideas off of each other, and we let go of the how, and we're ready for the wow. And we've played this game through the whole experience of Spirituality Gone Wild. And we came up with, Debbie is the most incredible event planner for live events. And she did this Mystic Mixer in Palm Springs. And we were starting to notice how more and more people were connecting virtually, and how boring it was sometimes to be in these conferences. And we said, wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be great? We play these games together. We spin off of I Love Lucy. We do Lucy and Ethel skits kind of things together on compassionate communication, and Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World. Yeah. And so we play off of each other like this, having fun. And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we did a variety show, but it's a mixer. So it's like speed dating, but really fun speed dating. And it's like really fun. And you get to meet people who are, spiritually conscious, spiritual entrepreneurs. You get to connect with humanitarian issues. You get to connect with other organizations that have the greater good in mind. And so that's how it came about. And we just started playing that game. And we both know that 17 seconds, in 17 seconds, we will usually, as a human, negate a divine idea. We'll get an idea, comes in through the crown chakra. I'm a Kundalini yoga instructor. You get that idea, it comes into your crown chakra. And you, in 17 seconds, usually will, just say, I don't have the money for that, or I don't have the time for that, or I'm just not experienced at that. But if you allow it to roll over to 34 seconds, that's what Debbie and I do. We play this game. Wouldn't it be great if? And then 34 seconds, you start to see, it's the law of attraction. Another idea will come and it will be even more fun and more exciting. And if you let that roll over to 68 seconds, this is what I do with our phone. My phone, I just put 68 seconds. That's how I start any project that's happening. 68 seconds, you start co-creating with the universe, and the hows and the who's start showing up. See, our job is not the hows and the who's. Our job is the what and the why. And as long as we stay in the what and the why, the hows and the who's just show up, like you, Steve. We wanted a morning show. It's so great. It's so great that Debbie and I, we talked about you before we knew that you were even in the picture. We said it would be so great if we had a guy who wanted to do a morning show, because both of us used to do morning shows, and we had such a great audience, but we want to really invite the males. We want to bring in the compassionate males, the males who are wanting to have more conversation and more connection, and wanting those 6 C's as much as we do. And so you're here, just like we called you and you came.
So I have, we're coming to the top of the hour, so we'll have to end, but people can come back on Saturday, and the conversation is just going to go on all day long, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So I'll be talking about it the next 2 days on my show. I want to thank both of you ladies for joining the American Gumption morning show this morning. And more importantly, I want to thank you for inviting me to be part of this family and for welcoming me into it. So thank you so much, ladies. This has been a lot of fun. I said to Debbie, I don't know if I'm ready to do this. I've listened to some of the shows in the evening and some of the other hosts, and people go real deep. And I said, I've been a student. I've been, learning this myself, but I haven't necessarily been a teacher. And I thought, I said, I'm not sure if I'm ready. And she said, Debbie, what did you tell me?
What did I tell you?
You said it's spirituality gone wild.
Wild.
There are no rules. So as long as it's, if it's part of this realm, then it all works. And so anyway, that gave me the confidence to go forward. So here we are. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to wrap this show up. I will be back tomorrow, and I want to just go ahead and play the closing song, and we'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, ladies.
Many blessings, everyone.